Thank you, James. Two players from different generations of the European game have served up one of the greatest matches in World Masters history, and now it falls to two of Asia's best to follow that. Jeremy, you were talking there in the chat out in the arena about how the break rules have just led to so many great matches since they were changed about a year ago. But how about this format here and the way it's changed with the longer matches at the World Masters? We were wondering how it was going to work out. It's made for a wonderful week.
Yeah, I think, you know, the break rule, of course, what happens is you start to see the drama in the match because you get entertained by both players. Prior, it was, the players are so great, whoever got that first step up could really make one-sided matches. And does anyone on the planet, by the way, lag any better than these two guys? Anyways, the longer races just gives us more of that drama, and it just makes the players settle in a little bit better, and we just see a higher quality of pool.
And it creates so many possibilities in terms of all the different stories and different phases of the match that you can see. We've seen players come from behind and late twists in matches. It's just been absolutely wonderful. We've still got two matches to go, starting with this, the second semi-final.
Yeah, and probably James's worst hit on the one the entire tournament. He's broke the balls well, not always with results, but overall pretty solid on the breaking end. And hats off to Neil's fan. He hung tough, he played great, had an exceptional tournament. I know Niels will be a little upset about it going, the next day or two, right? But he'll get on with it. But what about Kachi? We always knew the physical presence, of course, was there and one of the best in the game. But, man, between the ears, he really showed us something there.
I always say from one tournament to the next, from one match to the next, you don't know which Kachi is going to show up. But we even saw it within the same match there, and two entirely different phases. It was up to 6-0, and then there was everything that followed. And he's in the final.
Oh, what an opener here. Especially at the light speed, so that's some confidence. I knew he had somewhat of a backdoor safety if he missed, but yeah, maybe, I've always wanted to talk to Kachi ever since it was really the first time I saw him, 17 or 18 years old. I actually went up to him and told him, your future is very bright. I just thought the specimen he was almost gave him an unfair advantage, it seems like, but I think he's just maturing in all ways, and it's gonna really do him some favors in the years to come.
I think we sometimes forget just how young he is because he's been around for so long. Still only 24. I keep having to check that because I can't quite believe it. But yeah, he was born 1999.
Oh, he showed us, as they say in America, some of that vinegar that the young. Oh, look at this shot to bring in behind the balls. He's going to leave a pretty doable jump, maybe even a doable kick. But I mean, I think it was 19 years old where Kachi claimed the #1 ranking in the world. I mean, that's awfully young and hasn't been done very many times. Okay, should make this one. Cue ball's going to have some speed, maybe gets into a piece of the 7. And he could never slow it down. He needed some contact there.
What was that expression you used? Got some vinegar.
Yeah, well, it's just full of vinegar, young guys. That's just, I guess, an American saying. I'm not sure really where it came from. But.
Oh, I like that one. I'll be stealing that for future use.
Okay, a little kick shot. He would like to edge this, I think, and run the ball. Well, he's just going to take a chance of getting a little fortunate. He may have. Sometimes when you don't like a kick shot, kind of rolling the dice is your best option. Now, most of us would think that it would serve James well to get some shots early, right, to get the arm going, but the same thing with Ko. So these are big balls.
Ko Ping-yi, the eldest of the 3 pool-playing brothers, along with Ko Ping-chung and Ko Ping-han. He'll be 34 on the last day of this month. And the highlight of his career so far was becoming world champion 8 years ago.
And you think about the pool world, right? Think about a guy like Ko, of course. Think about that world title, and you're like for Niels, for instance. Of course, Niels has some World Pool Masters, but think about the U.S. Open that they're lacking, right? That's what they really want, but that's all changing. Of course, the U.S. Open and the World 9-Ball are going to remain the biggest, and as they should, but so many events on the calendar coming that are, you know, going to be titles that aren't going to be forgotten.
Yeah, there's not much difference really in terms of the difficulty and what you have to do to win them. Now, when you look at new events like the UK, the European, Spanish that's going to be starting next month, the test is pretty similar really to what it takes to win a World or a US Open.
Yeah, absolutely. Those two just add that extra in everyone's mind. And of course, the arm feels it probably a little more, but the World Pool Masters up there just because the quality of the field, and none better than 2023. All right, just a little stun. This is where you don't get too involved trying to get the cue ball out a little further. Just work a little harder on it. Yeah.
He has been a semi-finalist in the World Masters before, looking to get to the final for the first time. He's won the first rack. Oh. Now, we had a word with him before the off.
First match I play very good, and second match with Shane I play so-so, not well, not bad. And I hope I can play good in the semifinal. Of course, I feel very happy now. And my next round, my opponent is James. Last year we met in Singapore Open in the final, and we both play well. So I hope we can play well again. I feel I can win this match, can into the final. Yes, I think I can win World Master this year.
If he does get through to the final, his route will have taken him past 3 different opponents from 3 different continents. And it will be a big landmark moment for him, really, in terms of re-establishing himself. We didn't see much of him, even as tournament action was starting to reopen after the worst of COVID. It took him a while to get back on the international stage. And that return to the big arena will be complete if he can win the World Masters tonight. Got to get to the final first, though, but he's made a start.
Well, we'll see about the results, but he'd like to bottle that hit on the 1. That was just ideal. I think the pink 4 has got on the 9-ball, but not really playable combination. We'll see here shortly. Now, he's got a cut shot on the 2 to the upper left corner. He's got one to the upper right as well. I'm wondering if the pink 4 does bank cross side by the 8. He's going to play the blue 2 in the upper right. And that overhead tells me the bank shot on the pink 4 really not on. So he must have a combination that's playable here. Now this type of combination,
extension, please.
You don't want to apply any side spin here. A lot of times when you cut a ball, you use a little outside spin. Here it would be left spin to enhance the cut or make the cut happen. But when you're playing this type of combination, when they're close together, the 9 a lot of times will hit the bottom rail if you apply side spin. So you want to stay on the vertical, just straight up and down with the cue ball. And he's hitting a little left. I can see it. So good chance the 9 hits the bottom rail. Yeah, he made it though.
Quick kill in the second rack. He's applying the early pressure here to James Aranas. 4-9 combination brings up 2-0. Here it is again.
Yeah, you can see the 9 kind of twist off contact. Did get the bottom part of the pocket, and now a 2-0 lead.
Both trying to get to the final, as we've said, for the first time. But Ko, of course, has achieved so much more on the big stage. He's been a world champion. It's a much bigger landmark for Aranas if he gets to the final. Huge deal for him to even have reached this stage. So how important is it to him now to get his first rack on the board quickly? Because really, if Aranas was to find himself a lot of racks behind, he's spoken this week about nerves, and he'll feel them very strongly if he has a big deficit.
Yeah, I think so, but I mean, it could work the opposite. It depends on how that deficit comes about, Michael. If he makes some mistakes, yes, he's going to have trouble coming back, I think. But if Ko puts a few racks together, it may lighten the load on James just because he is in a deficit and he really hasn't done a whole lot wrong. So we'll see.
Yep, fair point. 2-0 at the moment.
Okay, not the break off he had in the last. Missed the one barely. The side pocket. And this is where James has got to capitalize when they're really open. He's got a good starter. He's got a chance to get the arm going. I think the real problem for James, and I don't know how it is in sports, of course in the UK as much, but you know, in like college football or any football, right? A lot of times when one team plays another, the second time around, it's hard to beat that team again. And what I'm getting at is Ko rarely plays two so-so matches in a row, and he played kind of a so-so match last night. You just don't expect to see that happen again.
Yeah, that was his quarter-final against Shane Van Boning.
The one
7-all. Sorry, Jeremy, I was just going to wrap that up by saying that from 7-all, Ko pulled away with 4 in a row for the match.
And another good thing on James's side is I think he's very comfortable with his opponent. They played many times. They seem to get along really well. Of course, 2 of the nicest guys there are. Now here, don't get too involved. The pink 4 does go by the purple 5 in the lower right. So don't get too involved trying to move the cue ball.
Extension, please.
He's going to move it, it looks like. Trying to come some 3 rails around, maybe to where he's at now. Oh, he spun it with inside. Now he's a little thin. He's got to deal with a little bit of traffic. And you could see he just didn't want to take on the 4 in the lower right corner. That's not the best sign for me. This looks fairly natural, though. Should hit the side cushion and rail and just kind of float up in between the purple 5 and the brown 7. Maybe a little check side spin. And the thing is, you know, when you get in these spots, you know, when you play good position, it kind of simplifies the game, right? But you can't try to oversimplify it. You can't let the, you know, the situation say, hey, let me try and make the shot as easy on myself as possible. Oh, a little kick there. It's going to slow down the cue ball. He's not going to get the snooker. I said it after the last match that I was, to Carl, I think, I was so impressed at how confident the stroke was, Kachi especially, as the pressure got its highest towards the end of that last match. Niels as well.
It's been a bit of a theme, actually. We've seen a lot of close matches this week, but in many of them, it's been won by the guy who's actually maybe stepped it up a level and produced his very best at the end of the match. And the pressure's at its most intense. Now, what's he done here?
Yeah, he caught a double kiss on the cue ball. Just lost a little focus. Now this is a big shot for James, in my opinion. It's got some distance. It requires a stroke, whether you're going forward or backwards with the cue ball. This purple 5 could go a long ways.
Well, early signs of anxiety from both players. We saw it in Ko's reaction to his previous shot, and then in that shot itself from Aranas, some way out.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's going to do here. This is a very difficult little situation. And what happens? A lot of people would say, well, he aimed wrong. Well, you just don't think that about the pros. They don't aim wrong. It's just, you know, when you don't have that release of the cue, the timing's off a little bit, that's what causes those big misses. I'd like to know what Ko was trying there, to be honest with you.
You can just see it in his body language. He's desperate to get that first rack on the board. Had a chance earlier in this rack. 5-ball was his nemesis. It's got him back in now with a more clear-cut opportunity.
And you picked it out quickly there. What you can't do, right? You can't stress over every shot. You're going to have too many stressful situations anyways, so you just got to do your best to relax and start swinging the cue. Well, little stress here on the black 8. He's going to have some speed on the cue ball, so he's either got to slow it down with maybe some spin of some sort, or maybe float this ball in. Nice shot.
Well, when he came to the table after Ko's dry break, Aranas looked to have a pretty routine path to the line. He's made much harder work of this rack than he really should have done. But at this early stage of one of the biggest matches of his life, the key thing was to win it. He's off and running now. He trails 2-1. Even though he beat Victor Zielinski yesterday in the quarterfinals, it was pretty much 50-50 throughout the match that James Aranas was going to break dry. He's already done it once in this match. I'm going to see him breaking again in a moment after he won the third rack. Ko Pinyi leading 2-1, just waiting for his opponent to re-enter the arena, which he has now done. We could see how anxious he was to get that first one on the board now, Jeremy. Do you think he'll be more settled, or is it still going to be such a big occasion for him that it's going to take time to do that?
No, I mean, I think he's definitely going to be more settled, just getting to knock a few balls in, getting on the board. Definitely, I don't really know what went wrong in the first rack as far as the break, but they certainly didn't. Yeah, the one's hitting way short. It's like he's hitting way up high on the cue ball, maybe. On this type of shot, most of the players will draw the ball. And if you come up, what happens is you get a little more force on the cue ball, and it pushes the one through that rack a little bit and hits shy of that side pocket. Watch how short the one is here. The sides, so he's got to get that fixed.
Yeah, kind of got away with the low percentage on the breaks yesterday because Zielinski was struggling so much. Can't feel he'll get away with it 2 days in a row. And this man is in the other chair today.
Well, I think yesterday it was fair to say that our tighter side pockets had a little something to do with it. Many times James hit both jaws with the one, and that's just the result of tougher equipment. Big position play here. A lot of traffic, and he could easily trap himself. Trying to come back near this side where he's at. Oh, this is perfect. And this is the Ko I'm used to, just a really magnificent cue ball. That's sometimes his cue ball's so good, it's, you know, you forget how great a shot maker he is as well.
He's had the only real landslide victory of the week, beating Jason Shaw 9-1. And then, as we've said, it was a very different match against Shane Van Boening. They were level at 1-all, 2-all, 3-all, 4-all. And he went 7-4 in front. Van Boening came back to 7-all. And SVB's first dry break of the match in the next rack just opened the door for Ko to start getting back on top again, and he did, pulling away from there to win 11-7.
He's gotten snookered from nowhere here, and he had a few different routes and took a little time. I was actually going to comment that was one thing yesterday I saw a little different. This Ko's never been labeled as a slow player, but I thought yesterday he actually played a little fast around the table. Great jumper of the ball. These are difficult shots that's coming up for James, but they're ones that can do him a lot of good if he can knock them in. Now, really one of the best strokes you'll see, James, once it gets tuned in. All right, this is where, if he knows the slick table, I think he can come back between the black 8 and the 9, 2 rails, and kind of spread the cue ball off the second rail towards the upper right part of the table. Not something you can do on your club table, really, but if you know the slick cloth, it's certainly playable. Now, inside English, I don't know if he can get above the brown 7. Yeah, this is my worry. Is he going into the 7? That's the problem.
"31 years of age. Ranked number 75 in the world, but a lot of that is down to a lack of involvement in tournaments over the last year or two. He's had various issues with travel and visas. I think the fact that he was given a wild card with that lowly ranking tells you a lot about how highly rated he is in the game.
Oh, an awful flick, but it actually ended up being okay. I don't think he would have got off that second rail up for position on the 6, so nothing's been easy so far, but again, it can go a long ways if he gets out. Tricky shot here. He's going to play it to what we call blind pocket, the upper right. He's going to go with a high ball 3 rails. You can see now, once he starts to settle in a little bit, really nice flowing stroke, right? Gets a lot out of the ball. It's just been a little out of line on every shot.
And from 2-0 down, he's made it 2-all. He's in this semi-final after wins over Francisco Sanchez-Ruiz and Victor Zielinski. And ahead of this match, we spoke to him.
I feel great. You know, I'm still grinding and happy that I survived. My match against Francisco, yeah, I was feeling really nervous. There's nothing I can do. I just have to fight to win the match. I'm so happy, of course. Beating him is good memory for me, especially here at the Wolfpool Master. I'm comfortable today, and I played before with the Kopinyi. He already beat me twice, and I'm hoping I can get this one. I will try my very best for my country. I know it's going to be hard for me, but it is what it is. Just good luck to us. I just need to win this first, and then we'll see how does it feel after if I beat him.
Remarkably, he's the first player from the Philippines to reach the semi-finals of this prestigious event for 11 years.
The fifth break.
So 2 breaks so far in this match, both dry. Nevertheless, he is on level terms with his much more experienced opponent. Aranas with the break again in rack 5.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, he kind of put the cue ball on the left side of the box, then went over to the right. So a little scratch in his head early with the break shot. And he's hitting up on the cue ball. It's like a flat ball, so.
Yeah, not a pleasant stat for him to read, and he's level at the moment, but can he really hope to win the match if he keeps breaking dry?
Well, I mean, you know, one of the big things about the break rule is there's so much difference from rack to rack with the layouts and stuff. So, you know, if he keeps playing well, you don't figure him to be able to hold up without making balls on the break, but you just never know. I mean, you have to play an exceptional match after the break, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that tends to catch up with you eventually.
Yeah, and it looks like Ko's going to attack on another thin yellow 1 ball. Should come 3 rails on the backside of the pink, and then out to the center for the 2 ball. He's hit this quite thick. May get a roll. Did get the snooker, but James a big favorite to make this jump. Especially with the 2 just kind of laying there for shape. Yeah, this shot here being elevated over the 6 is probably more difficult than the jump. And that's a sign that he's a lot calmer than you would think, because most of the time when the nerves are really high, it's very easy to overhit the jump shot because you're just a little worried about getting over it, you know.
Played Kopinyi in a big match not so long ago. The Asian Open in Singapore last summer, which will be a full-scale matchroom world ranking event later this year. They met in the final of that, and Aranas pushed Ko very hard before losing 13-11.
All right, he got a little flat here. I think he's got a touch of an angle, but when you're going into the side, it's always that full hit. So it's very hard to come all the way across on the right side of the 8, the black 8, to get on this combination with the purple 5 and the brown 7. Not saying he can't do it, but you almost have to creep it across. If you overhit it, it just won't get there. He's got to kind of stun follow. You see how it hooked? And he may get there, but that I don't think was the intended route to the top rail. Okay, big shot here. Make sure you get the draw on the ball. That way you can hold position for the purple 5 after the combination's made. And Michael, it looked like he kind of shot between there. He didn't really roll it, and he didn't really draw it.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Here's a different angle on it.
And any combination from that distance isn't a hanger or anything, but definitely, you know, James was a big favorite to make that combination. should be able to kick this and get the 5 to the top rail, the purple 5. It's close enough to it to really gauge the accuracy on the hit. Little draw stroke and the speed should be okay. Did hold the ball. He's going to leave a tough one, long one. Ko really one of the best I've ever seen, I think, with the long shot when it's a full hit. A lot of players would actually like to have more of that little cut on the ball. It's just it gives you a little more reference, right? And the cue ball moves easier. Another thing is a lot of players, myself included, tend to overhit the ball when they get that much distance, and you could tell he stayed real smooth through impact.
Yep.
And that shot should, in a sense, be a rack winner. In the semi-finals for the second year in a row. Beat his brother Ko Ping Chung in an absolute slog of a first-round match last year, then knocked out David O'Cady, Max Lechner, both quite comfortably, and was beaten in the last 4 by the eventual champion Joshua Filler. He's the first player from Chinese Taipei to get that far in 5 years. Won the first 2 racks, got pegged back to 2 apiece. Ko Ping Lee is back into the lead at 3 racks to 2 in this second semi-final of the World Masters. One of the longest established events in the game, started 30 years ago this year, but so many new events coming up in the game nowadays. And you can see some of them there. Will be at the Copper Box in a couple of weeks' time for the UK Open. Wonderful inaugural staging last year. And it will be the first ever staging of the Spanish Open then in Lugo just a few weeks after that. That'll be followed in the same venue by the World Cup of Pool, Spain defending on home soil. A couple of junior events running alongside some of those big tournaments. The European Open, which was also staged for the first time last year, will be going back to Fulda. Then the last 6 days in September will be in Atlantic City for the US Open. The Asian Open then will follow pretty quickly after that. Venue yet to be confirmed, and we do know the venue for the Mosconi Cup, Alexandra Palace once again, as Europe look to make it 4 in a row from the 6th of December.
Rack 6, continue to break, leading 3-2.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what has changed so much, but the one hit pretty low there as well, and Ko just hasn't broke the balls, you know, well since his first match. Or at times he has, but not anything like his first match where just everything he did was on point.
Well, it's catching because we've had 6 breaks now in this match and 5 of them dry.
And pool players really kind of live and breathe off the break. It gets you going. This shot here, this is a little tricky. Yeah, this is going to be difficult, but I don't know, that shot there, it's a shot I try to stay away from if possible. I think most players do, just maybe limited options for James in that situation.
Attention, please.
He's left a sliver of the one. And it's just going to edge this, try and use the 3 a little bit to hold the 1 up, but you really got to make a decision where he's going with the cue ball. Could leave a long, thin cut on the 1 ball. Oh, smart shot.
We're so accustomed in so many of the events nowadays, Jeremy, with these massive fields and so many tables. There's just noise going on everywhere and the click of balls everywhere you can look around. This one table situation throughout the week, it just creates so much tension surrounding every match from round 1.
Yeah, you can. Exactly right, Mike. I think the fans feel it. Certainly the players feel it. I think you and I as well here in the booth. And it's pretty sweet to me, though. Definitely like the tension, the suspense. Now that's a prime example. Ko very, very good with the jump cue, but in my opinion, definitely overhit that a little bit. It wasn't hard to get over the 2, and he was very straight. So lost a little accuracy. Nice opener on the 1. Gets even tougher here on the 2. Rose ball trying to come backwards with the cue ball. Seems to want to pull the 2 off the rail just a bit more. If he could get back into the 8, that would be pretty good. Oh, hit that sweet. That ball's off the rail a little bit. Of course, they're supposed to make it, but that froze ball, like I said, coming backwards. So good signs for James Aranas.
You might have noticed there one of the logos on his shirt says Roy's. And of course, that's a very special place you know a lot about. That's been a big part of the story of James Aranas.
Yeah, when he first came to the States, Roy at Roy's Basement, who does a lot for the game and does a lot for players, and of course being Filipino, has a heavy heart for his countrymen. Many players stayed up there in the DC area, North Virginia. I've actually never had the privilege, but I've seen it many times on streams and different stuff, and that was kind of from nowhere. He said it kind of kicked on him a little bit. And now definitely out of line from a very easy position. I think he's okay as far as pocketing the ball. It's not easy. The problem with this is when you get out of line and you mishit it to the pocket a little bit, the speed is off. And now the 8 could be a tough one. Like here, see how the 8, you're going to be way over here with the cue ball now. Now the 8's a lot more of a tester because of the shot on the green 6.
Pressure on any shot is intensified when you know really you shouldn't have put yourself in that position. But he's come through those 2 tests there, and it all culminates in a routine 9-ball, with which James Aranas levels again at 3 each. He's made his errors in this match. He's yet to pot a ball from any of his breaks, and yet James Aranas has won 3 of the last 4 racks and is now level with the former world champion Ko Pin-Yi at 3 each in this second semi-final of the World Masters.
Thank you.
Race to 11 to see who plays excellent catchy in the final tonight. Well, that was a bit different.
Yeah, he still hit a little high on the cue ball, but put a little extra into it. Made 4 on the break. Has a pretty nice shot on the yellow 1. Trying to figure out what ball's next. It looks like the blue 2. So many disappeared on that break. Just got to make it come across. He's definitely getting more settled. Is he going to get away from the green 6? He's got a little to the left side of the cue ball, but of course he's got enough of the left side. But shooting beside the ball can sometimes be just as awkward
Extension, please.
as shooting over the ball, and he's a bit of both. Now the tendency when you're beside the ball and you have to put left English like this is to push the cue ball a little bit, and you tend to hit this 2 ball a little thick. He's feeling better, Michael.
I was going to say, do you think he's settled in now? And this is an ideal rack if he can finish it out from here. Very quick kill.
Well, you know, he's a great player, right? And it'd be hard to figure he hasn't learned from his nerves the first 2 days, and that's a big part of it. I commented earlier that Niels is such a veteran. You know, he kind of knows how to play when he's a little overly nervous as well. Uh-oh, that in rail boinged a little bit. Gonna get a little thinner on the 9, but should be okay.
I guess we can say he's now averaged 1 ball on the break per rack. Made up a lot of lost ground in that statistical department with 1 shot.
I wonder if the corner pocket, it looks like he should be okay coming 2 rails.
Now he wins for the first time in this semi-final, 4-3. It's got to help him having those guys in the corner over there with the Philippines flag geeing him up.
Absolutely. Been a lot of places, Michael, and I don't know if any country smiles more than the Philippines.
I was thinking that exact thing. It seems it doesn't really matter what's happening on the table. Those guys there are smiling all the way through all of his matches.
Absolutely. Yeah, they just appreciate what's going on and happy their countrymen's fighting.
So much history for the Philippines in this World Masters. They've had 3 past winners: Francisco Bustamante, Dennis Orcolio, and Alex Pagulayan won it as well back in 2008, and he was still representing the Philippines back then, now of course a Canadian citizen.
Yeah, Marcel working the rack. They don't get enough credit. Marcel and Dez do such a great job. Of course, Brendan in the behind the scenes is our tournament director, along with all the staff here, Matchroom and Sky Sports.
The 8th rack.
James Aranas
James
is
Aranas to
certainly
break.
doing himself a lot of credit.
Leading by 4 racks to 3.
Remember, he was 2-0 down. He's starting to dominate.
he changed sides, that's for sure. He's going to get a cut shot on the 2 if the black 8 doesn't disagree. That's exactly what's happened.
Shot called.
I might clip the 3 here and just lay it on the side rail near the 7, making the 7 difficult and the 3 difficult.
It's your choice, Pinyu.
Kind of did the same with the cue ball to the end rail. This probably gets passed back here. This is not an easy safety. 2's near that cushion, so a double kiss could be a big problem, but I really doubt Ko takes it. Guess James is going to float the 2, trying to use the 8, the black 8, for the cue ball. Nicely done.
Talking about the record of the Philippines in this tournament. Incredibly, no one from Chinese Taipei has won it. They've only had one finalist, and that was 20 years ago.
Tell you, the strokes get more confident. It seems like every minute at the table, and what's been so impressive to settle these nerves, it's been a lot of tough shots for James. Nothing easy.
Yeah, you don't want to face them, but then when you come through them, it gives you such a boost in your cue arm.
Well, we talked about it at the beginning, right? When you can't simplify the shot, maybe it's the best thing for you. You got to let the stroke out a bit. Okay, does he move 2 rails here with the black 8 maybe in the way? And just pull the cue ball out, take a little longer shot on the green 6.
Extension, please.
Yeah, if the 8 wasn't there, the black 8 would certainly stun 2 rails across, getting a little closer to the green 6, but maybe going forward here. That's a way light. And that's not the speed or line he wanted. He went forward trying to get closer to the 6, so a little let up on the swing. Maybe a little indecisive as well. Really think he's too unhappy the way he struck it. Just a missed shot. Wasn't easy. Need some angle. I'm very shocked that he stunned the ball there, because you don't have to get back for the 8. You can play the 8 from this side of the table as long as you're across. I thought he would just hit a high ball there on the green 6, get to the middle of the table, take a little cut shot on the 7, knowing the 8's not that hard. Now he's got to let the stroke out.
Attention, please.
Kind of punched it, trying to get a little something out of the cue ball, and Ko has just let a few situations get away. And whew, is he going to cut this in the upper left, Michael? Wow.
Well, looks extremely tough.
Yes, normally edge on edge. You don't want to spin this one in.
You look at it from that angle, you think that's not even possible.
Kopenier wins the round.
But it was, and Kopenier stemmed the tide there. Aranas had his opportunity to go too clear for the first time in the match, but passed it up. And Ko was drawn level. Looks like we're heading for another close one, Jeremy, 4-all.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. You know, we had a 9-1 Shaw and Ko, right? We had another 9-5, I think, a couple matches there early, but that miss very much promoted, I think, by the decision on the purple 5.
And there's the really acute cut on the 8. And after making that, deserved to have a simple 9, and he did. I think we should just start these matches at 10-all because they don't seem to be heading that way at the moment.
Yeah, and Ko lost his break last night. He really hasn't found it here in this semifinal so far, anyways. And the green 6 is going to slide, but it's not going to go in.
Three dry in a row now. And Kopenier.
We're going to get to see a big draw stroke here, maybe. Not sure if he can just draw this back and take the cut on the 3 from the center of the table. Not so sure what the black 8 is doing as far as interfering in that manner. The 3-6 combo isn't tough, just in case you had to play it, that being the red 3 on the green 6.
Extension, please.
It looks like it's a little bit of a dangerous angle to draw all the way back to the rail where he's standing and then up for the 3. Oh, it's a pretty comfortable shot there.
Just like today, he was a couple of racks behind early on yesterday against Victor Zielinski. It was 3-1 down, but and then won 8 of the next 10 racks to lead 9-5, and his Polish opponent, who was very much the favourite going into that match, was just falling apart before our eyes. And all of a sudden, Zielinski won 4 in a row, including a couple of golden breaks. Aranas led again at 10-9, went hill, got over the line 11-10. But back in the present day, he's passed up another opportunity.
Yeah, it wasn't the clean strike on the cue ball we've been seeing here so far for James. Little slappy.
Not 100% guaranteed, but it would be very surprising if Ko didn't regain the lead here.
The old break shot, you would change speeds a lot, but really not change the break too much, as far as it was always just kind of head on. And I wonder how many different breaks the players really are practicing these days with the new break format, just in case, one type of break kind of goes awry, right? You change sides, that's the typical change, but do you really change the overall break, itself? Because he's really struggling on the break. Seems to be picking up the speed after the break, but
well, you'd be the man to find out. The player's always willing to tell you everything, so you can go and conduct a survey for us later.
All right, coming 3 rails here. It looks like the rail speed, and that's what happens as the cloth gets broken, the rail speed picks up a little bit.
Extension, please.
If he's going to win this semi-final, you have to feel he's going to have to improve on the break at some point. But for now, he is leading. Ko Pin-Yi takes 2 in a row and goes 5-4 up.
Thank you, Pin-Yi. Thank you. It's rack number 10.
It's the second semi-final of the World Pool Masters. Swinging one way and then the other in the early stages. Little shifts in momentum. Ko Pin-Yi has it at the moment, winning the last 2 racks to lead 5-4. But he's also had 3 dry breaks in a row now. Can he correct that here in rack 10? Well, the answer is yes, and the overall result pretty good, Jeremy.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you didn't pay attention, you'd miss the blue. He can barely get at about probably 1/3 of the blue too, so very difficult to control the cue ball from this situation. The 3's fairly open in the middle though, that being the red 3. Looks a lot of times you want to still kind of draw the ball off of this, trying to avoid the point on the pocket as much as you can. He rolled it, and he played the spread on the cue ball with the slick felt. Very savvy shot there from Ko. I could cut this in the side or the corner, I think. I think the side's the play. Just got to contain the cue ball speed. Hold it for the pink 4 that's just kind of wedged between the green 6 and the brown 7. Should be the middle, maybe a hair of inside spin.
Ko Pin-Yi will be teaming up with his brother, Ko Ping-chung, as we see this again. Once more at the World Cup of Pool that we mentioned earlier, next month in Spain. They got to the semi-finals last year. Ko Pin-Yi has won that in the past. Back in 2015 in partnership with Chang Young-lin, the same year that he won the World 9-Ball.
Yeah, what a partner he had there, and of course his brother, another great partner. And I think they're probably one of the favorites come next month there in Lugo, Spain. Especially because it seems that his younger brother Ko Ping-chung has gotten his game back. He really struggled at the World Cup last year, but the man on your screen just played an exceptional pool to carry him as far as they did.
We were talking, I think it was you and me anyway, in Leicester at the Premier League about sporting siblings. And we agreed that probably the Williams sisters were the most famous. But are there any instances in American sports or things that you know more about, of 3 siblings from the HUN family all playing to a high level.
Oh, I'd have to think about that one for a moment.
I think there were the Wallace brothers in football here in England, who all played top flight football. It's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, the DiMaggio brothers, I guess. Break a run.
And Popigny, who was 2 ahead at 2-0, restores that double rack advantage at 6-4. Now, we've been talking about some of the events coming up in a very busy summer of pool. And there you see the World Cup that we've been talking so much about. Spain winners for the first time last year. They now defend on home soil. And just before that, in the same venue, the Spanish Open, a new addition to the ever-growing Matchroom calendar of big events. UK Open was staged for the first time last year. Joshua Filler won it. He'll be at the Copper Box down in the Olympic area in London to defend it. That all starts on the 30th of May. And that's only part of the story. We've got US Open, Asian Open later in the year.
Yeah, tons of pool, and I'll tell you, there's a couple more Spanish players that maybe David and FSR or Cerveza or something, right? Because the home team, right, gets 2 teams there in the World Cup.
Yeah, and the thing is now Spain can name 2 strong teams. A few years ago, that wouldn't have been the case.
Oh, there's a cue ball loss. And
Ball in hand.
the one did go on the side, but you can just see the breaks haven't been anything consistent. Even there with the one on the side, not a lot of opening of the rack. Well, ball in hand always makes things easier, but this is not a tough layout. Get on the 3 easily, the 4, the 5, the purple 5 and green 6 are there together. A little work from the 7 to the 8. Going with a high ball here, I guess he's just a little surprising to go into the balls there. Makes a little sense, but still a little surprising.
So Joe DiMaggio had 2 brothers who played baseball as well.
I think so, yeah.
To say, I had no idea of that.
One brother, I think, was a very good player, but Tom DiMaggio, maybe.
Oh, the Neville brothers, who were famous footballers here in England, and they have a sister, Tracy, who I think it was netball she played to a high level. So there's another.
Extension, please.
Something tells me there was another triple in the tennis ranks at some point. But
probably, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Those Nevilles are mentioned there. Their dad, his first name was Neville. Yeah, Neville.
Yeah, we had a great pool player from America we lost not long ago named Larry Neville. Played in a lot of big events. Big, powerful stroke, and thinking of that, he's got to force this one a little bit. And we saw Ko cut a very thin 8-ball in, so maybe he can just hold here on the purple 5 to take a thin cut on the 6. Now this is all about speed control, because you got to believe he's going to flick this in with a little right spin. Don't think the side pocket's a worry, but maybe coming on top of the 7, maybe.
Well, he needed this. He had lost 3 racks in a row. Kopinyi's scratch on the break gave him a chance. Will it be the start of yet another of these little shifts in momentum that we've seen throughout the contest so far? To one behind at 6-5. I think what we've seen from him is that even though he's spoken about the nerves he's been experiencing in this tournament and the fact that he's up against much bigger names, generally, over his first 2 matches, he's responded really well when the winning line has come into view. He's finished his matches very strongly. He had his only 2 break-and runs of the match against Francisco Sanchez-Ruiz right at the end to go from 7-all to 9-7. And then he held his nerve brilliantly yesterday, really, when Victor Zielinski had come charging back at him, albeit that Zielinski had been helped along by a bit of good fortune with the 2 golden breaks. So he's got nothing to fear from getting close to the winning line here and a place in tonight's final.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, prior to the event starting today, or maybe it was right at the beginning of the first match, I was upstairs and in the players' lounge, and there were 4 of the players in there, and you know, they are all very honest with each other about admitting that they were all nervous here this week and just how much this title means to them. Of course, then we got on the Mosconi talk, and there is no comparison to nerves in my mind in any sporting event in the world compared to the Mosconi Cup. Oh, he's really unleashing on the rack. May have an edge of the blue too, we'll see. Doesn't look too disappointed. Yeah, he definitely has the blue too. He's got to check the ball a little bit. Doesn't want to get too far away from the red 3, considering he's got to get all the way back up table for the pink 4 in just a couple shots.
Can't argue with the numbers. Didn't pot any balls from his first 3 breaks in this match. He's now potted 7 from his last 3.
He's hit it thick. Okay, it did slide in. And now he's in a prime position to tie this match. He's got some work, but he's got a proper angle on the red 3 to draw up the table for the pink 4. You don't want to get straight here. And probably pretty intentional on the blue 2 to carry it a little thick into the pocket. That way you can quiet the cue ball down. All right, choice, you can go forward with a top left spin, or you can come backwards with a low right, coming 2 rails out, coming at the purple 5 with the cue ball.
Whatever about the occasion and everything that's at stake, he doesn't seem to get thrown by things that happen in the match. It seems that every psychological question you think he's being asked, he just shrugs it off.
Well, that's just his personality, period, right? Very appreciative in all ways, it seems, always very respectful. And, you know, when you have that kind of attitude overall, it's easier to just, you know, look at what's in front of you versus what's behind you. I think that's what was so impressive with not only Kachi today, but Niels the entire event. Could have easily just folded right at 9-6 after losing 9 in a row, having a big lead, and still tried to persevere and win that match. Well, he's overdrawn this a bit, but should be okay.
Yeah, Eklund Kachi winning truly unforgettable match earlier against Niels Fine, 11-10 from 6-0 down. He's into the final for the first time. James Aranas is playing in the World Masters for the first time. final two. They're level again at 6 racks each. We've already had one hill finish in these semi-finals of the World Pool Masters, and we may well have another one, because after 12 racks, there's nothing to separate Ko Pin Yi and James Aranas. It's 6-all after the man from the Philippines won the last 2 racks. First to 11 goes through to face Eklund Kachi of Albania for the World Masters title and the $40,000 winner's check
Aranas to break.
here in Brentwood tonight.
6 racks each.
Well, really lucky there with the cue ball. Probably the thinnest hit on the one that we've seen. Cue ball rattled out of the lower left corner and somehow escaped. Oh, it got kissed, excuse me. It still was a little thin, but not as bad as I thought. I was going to say, in this race to 5 essentially now to get to this final, Michael, I might lean towards James as a little favorite just because of the break seems to be improving on his end, and Ko seems to still be kind of trying to find it.
Yeah, well, there's no arguing with that assessment. Ko would certainly have been favourite coming into the match.
Wow. Again, how good is that? A froze ball coming backwards from distance. You know how clean that has to be struck? Oh. Now he's going to try and go for a cross side bank on the pink 4. The cue ball should swing a couple rails towards the 9. Main thing here is don't overhit it. Don't let the ball start to get in the air. Yeah, really nice.
Really starting to look like a player who fancies the job here.
Well, very highly skilled player for sure. First saw James, the upside that I kind of recognized was pretty tall. He may have to come a funny kind of 4 rails inside the green 6 to take a cut shot. I don't think he wants to float this one. There it is, and he's going to get on the good side of the 6. Ooh, a little bump, and he may not have a corner pocket. It's close enough to it. He should be able to get the draw on the ball that he needs if he goes with a low ball. The blind pocket is always one of the most difficult.
So it looks as though it's going to be 3 in a row, and the lead will change hands yet again in this enthralling semi-final.
Yeah, if he knocks these last 2 balls in, probably the run of the match for me so far. He did it so quickly, it'd be hard to maybe identify the quality, but man, there was a lot there here in rack 13.
And now his flag-waving supporters sitting by his chair in the corner of the arena really can start dreaming of a place in the final, because he's 4 away now at 7-6. But why have his fortunes improved so much with the breaking? Have you noticed anything different the last few racks?
Well, I think he's given himself a chance with more speed to make other balls. I think it's just like anything else. If you try to control it a little bit, you get tentative. You don't get quite the timing of everything going on. And, you know, at times, it's almost like when someone gets a warning, right? We've seen time and time again, that's actually helped them. And so they don't want to foul, so they automatically put a ton more speed into the rack and obviously, and usually often, start breaking much better. I think yesterday he broke well. I really do. Just he had a lot of dry breaks because the one hit the side, you know, close to making it so many times.
Well, a number of times the one was hitting both points of the side pocket and coming away.
Right. And our old specs, as far as the pocket size, I think he would have made the one on all those occasions. But
The 14th rack, James
now,
Aranas to break. He's leading the match by 7
now we're
breaks to
playing
6.
with what I think is professional specs, how it should be. And I just want him to be able to see the ball because I know he's going to attack no matter how difficult it is. We're going to get to see another one here on the blue 2. A little thin, but natural position.
And the numbers now move on to 12 balls down from his last 5 breaks.
This is all about that medium speed. Cue ball will get up the table somewhere in the position it's in now. I wonder if he was playing the overcut instead of attacking. You got to believe he was trying to make that. Now he's a smart player, of course. He's going to recognize that, hey, I can overcut this and good chance not give up a shot. So probably did try to make it, just favored the top side of the pocket.
Ko Pin-Yi walking back to his chair with an air of resignation. This isn't the first time Aranas has been ahead in the match. He's never been too clear. Now's the chance.
Yeah, there's pressure out there for all the players, but I think sometimes the player labeled the favorite kind of puts that extra pressure on themselves. You know, we saw it in Poland as Sufi made his run, right? We saw Albanosian had a little difficulty, some other players. I think maybe, you know, they felt like they were a big favorite in a big moment and it just got the best of them.
I think it happened against Aranas yesterday for Zielinski.
Yeah, for sure. You know, could have been a little the same for Shane and Ko, kind of feeling like whoever won this match is the front runner to win the event. I like him just kind of stand there with the cue ball. You can come back a little bit and draw the cue ball up the rail. You can kind of just stay there, maybe go forward a little and come back to the same place and then just come across with the cue ball.
Once again, it feels like he's
Yeah,
only
extension,
getting
please.
stronger as the winning line moves closer. And he's now won 4 racks in a row. James Aranas leads 8-6 against Ko Pin-Yi in this semi-final. You know, there's no argument against the longer matches, is there? I mean, it's just fantastic. You can have prize money, venues, all these things, but nothing brings prestige and value to a tournament and a title quite like long matches like this. It's been a huge success, this change.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, anything to put the players in a better perspective, better situation, which is going to give us better pool, always more stories. And I think what happens is a lot of people would think the opposite, but at the pro level, I think, you know, if we get the races right, like these numbers we have here at the Pool Masters, it usually leans towards closer matches, in my opinion.
I know what you mean, and
yeah,
it shouldn't be that way. It doesn't make sense, but you're absolutely right. It does lead to it, and it's borne out by what we've seen here over the last couple of days. And I think more of it. Give the World Championship, the US Open, race to 16, maybe race to 18, maybe play it over a couple of sessions. There's nothing brings prestige to an event quite like that does.
Yeah, well, Matchroom's always looking to make it better, so I think we're to a position now, just like the Gold Break. There were some talks after so many, right? I think it's time to put so many things in a good place. It's time to have a full season and see what it looks like. Well, the cue ball's been all over the place, but he's not letting up. You got to appreciate that. He's going to get a shot on the blue, too, down the rail. One of the prettiest shots in 9-ball pool, cutting the ball down the rail past the side pocket.
And yet again, multiple balls down off Aranas break.
Yeah, he can try and come across and hit the gap between the brown 7 and the black 8, or he can add a little inside spin, trying to track the cue ball a little closer to the red 3. He'd love the 8 to not be there. It'd just be natural to come across and everything would be okay.
When you called it one of the prettiest shots in pool, but for the man standing behind us, it's only pretty if it goes in.
Yeah, and he decided to add that right side spin, and that always makes the shot a little more difficult. I really didn't expect to miss no matter how he shot it. Now it looks like Ko's going to have to elevate the back end of the cue into a very small. Red 3. Big one you got to stay still on. Really no room for error there, those side pockets from an angle like that, especially when you have to put a little pace into the cue ball.
Extension, please.
Another pretty shot. We'll see if he does attack with a high ball. Oh, he can draw this past the side. Oh, this is dangerous. Oh, what a stroke. What a stroke.
And that's what Ko thought of that miss on the 2. He'd been waiting for a chance. When it came, it was a tricky one. It's passed him by. So much confidence in the way Aranas just played that shot as well a moment ago.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Don't try to simplify the shot. This has got to go a little bit. I think it will get there. It just, ooh, it slowed down and now snookered. He tried to get that gap in the middle of the table. When pressure's on, that's not easy. I'm surprised he didn't kind of one rail stun to the short side for the purple 5. I try to kick this in across corner myself. I don't think I kicked to the back rail. if I do kick to the bottom rail here, I try to make it, give it some pace. Wow. I thought he'd take that on, Michael. I mean, position was going to be a little funny, I think, but James has got to love this, though, to be able to get back to the table, even if he is snookered.
Foul stroke, no contact, ball in hand.
Not loving it now, though. And really, Ko Pin-Yi has got to take this chance.
Yeah, we'll have a break after this game, so if he can get out here and cut it to 8-7, get that little timeout during our break, it could do wonders.
And ultimately, I guess the choice to play safe on that purple 5 has been vindicated by results.
Yeah, of course, these players are at the table, so they see it best. But you're not going to find a Filipino miss many kick shots. So it was a bit of a gamble, in my opinion, but
so Aranas stopped in his tracks, essentially by that missed 2 along the side. Through the rack, back into the balance. And through one thing and another, it's culminated in Ko Pin-Yi stopping the Ross. He'd lost the last 4. He hasn't lost this one, though. He's now just 1 behind again. It's 8-7 in this pulsating semi-final. When we started at lunchtime, the maximum possible number of racks we could see this afternoon was 42. And it's looking as though we may need all of them to decide our 2 finalists. Eklund Kachi threw in a hill finish earlier against Niels Fyan from 6-0 down, remember, and only 1 in it here. James Aranas leads this man, Ko Pin-Yi, 8-7.
you know, you doubt the rack has changed much, really. Marcel and Des, again, so good at their job, but I think Ko, if he does get back to the breaking end during this match, he's got to take a page out of James's book and really just unleash on the rack. I mean, what's to lose? What is that, 5 dry breaks or something?
I mean, what he's doing now isn't working.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a scratch break as well as those ones you see on the screen.
All right, he can just come across off the yellow 1 above the blue 2. The real difficulty is going to be getting from that blue 2 to the red 3, a little covered up by the green 6.
The extension, please.
There's a little gap over here by that left side pocket to get between the green 6 and the 9 ball. It looks like he has the proper angle, a comfortable angle to hit a small gap. Well, he decided to come across, and certainly can't blame him there. It should be a high ball. Maybe a hair right spin. Go by the black 8 for the pink 4 in the right middle. There's too much angle. He could draw the ball, but looks like a little side spin. can see the quality, right? When he lets the stroke out, when he's not tentative. Like I talked about at the beginning of the match, trying to simplify the shots a little much.
Been in decent level of finals before. Derby City Classic against Skylar Woodward 2019. Mentioned that Asian Open against Ko Pin-Yi last year. But nothing on this scale. The World Masters, one of the most prestigious titles in the game. So much history to it.
Caught that a little thick to the pocket. He did want to get nice and straight to draw his cue ball back off the green 6. Now this is where he's just got to pay attention. Don't want to fall on the rail. Anything off the rail, he should be doable to get back on the black 8.
And again, JJ, he's just shrugging off everything that happens in the match. You look back at the previous rack, he had all that momentum, had a chance to go 9-6, missed that 2 unexpectedly along the side, but it's like it never happened.
Well, that's a big component or part of the recipe to get through, you know, high nerves and intense situations.
2 away from the line now. James Aranas restores his 2-rack advantage at 9-7. And just looking at the Philippines flag there, we should mention as well, he will be playing at the World Cup of Pool in Spain next month for the Philippines, along with Johan Chua. Philippines and China, the joint holders of the record for most World Cup wins with 3, but it's been a full 10 years now since the last time the Philippines won, back in 2013 in London.
Yeah,
just all, sorry Jeremy, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, all his body language suggests that he knows how important this is, but he's extremely comfortable with it, and indeed excited by what might happen in the next 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, well, you know, a good physical leads to calming the mental and vice versa in our game. So, like I said, he's let the stroke out on many occasions, right? You can hear the crisp strike of the cue ball. So, and I was going to ask, has any country assembled more different teams than the Philippines for the World Cup of Pool?
I'll tell you what, I'll get back to you on that one in Lugo.
Okay.
I intend to do a deep dive on the history of the World Cup between now and then, so I'll be able to answer all those questions by the time we get there. Can't wait for it.
And here ladies put a few racks together at times, so let's see what the break brings us. Kind of hit a little flat on that one. That's what happens whenever it's a little flat, a little slappy. You see the balls just don't open up quite as well. Miss the one on the side. Miss it by much.
Ends a run for Aranas of 6 breaks in a row without any of them being dry.
Yeah, and he may have to go for the jump here if he has any angle to try and move the cue ball, and he certainly does. Could roll out near the brown 7 for some type of kick shot. Wouldn't be the worst, but I like this, trying to take it on yourself. As our game keeps evolving, I think you're going to see a lot more of that, where players realize I have to accept the shot. I have to change the momentum in this match. Can't expect my opponent to give it to me.
I love that about this game. There's no hiding place. It forces you through all sorts of things to attack the game.
Please.
Make things happen yourself.
Yeah, I've always thought he's one of the best when it comes to long distance pots. Just always swings with so much confidence. And of course, the commentator's curse.
I was going to say, yeah, he had no chance of potting that after what you said. He's by far the more experienced man, but you wouldn't know it from the demeanors of the two players at the moment. You saw it very clearly there in that close-up.
Yeah, well, if you looked at it, you know, kind of dissected the match, James has done everything to win the match so far, and Ko just hasn't put that much together back to back. He's cleaned up a few racks, but not our typical Ko.
Yeah, I think you've got it spot on. Even when at times the winning of racks pointed to him having the momentum, you never felt as you were watching those racks that he had established much rhythm.
Yeah, you know, we all watch the players, of course. They all have great personalities, some characters, and maybe shown a few more kind of different faces than I've ever seen from Ko in just one match, right? Great shot there, and really nice to hold the cue ball in position for the red 3. Still a lot of work. I think he's got to work on that purple 5 up the table with a real problem ball with the brown 7 in the way of the pocket. He's near the pink 4, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. But the thing about the purple 5 is not only how difficult it is, but the green 6 is back down table. So lots going on in this rack. Should come 2 rails inside the purple 5 ball. Play it for the lower left corner. Looks like he's very natural here, so all just speed control. Now, this is a choice. You can hit this with a high inside, or if you're more comfortable going low outside, 3 rails in between the 7 and 8, back up for the 6. So just a little preference. Most would go with the high ball.
Should be his rack now.
Just make sure it's switched off, please.
Fairly routine last few balls, but the hard work had already been done a little earlier in the rack. And he's one behind again. It's 9-8. How much does Ko Pin-Yee's vast experience count for now in a situation like this in a big match?
Huge. I mean, he's been here before, and he's been here before in a situation as a favorite, kind of struggling through the match, but still in it. So I think, again, he's just got to make a change on the break. I think that's really, if, you know, you had a caddy or somebody in your corner, I think that's the only thing I would really identify. Making a very nice clearance in the last rack in a real must situation. That isn't going to hurt either, but we all know how important the break shot at 9-ball pool is, and none more important for Copigny than his next.
His races to 11 over the last couple of days in the quarters and semis have been fantastic, but it will increase still further when they come back tonight at 7 o'clock. Race to 13 to be this year's World Masters champion, and it will be a new winner of the title.
The 18th rack, Copigny to break. Trailing by 9 racks to 8.
He's changed sides a couple times. I think it's more about really the speed of the break. Definitely put more into it.
Oh, and that's his reward. Our first golden break of the match. And with that, Copigny, having trailed 9-7 just a few minutes ago, has now made it 9-all.
There's no break, James. I do.
Well, tell us about this, JJ, the golden break. Kicked into the side. 50 now, I believe that is, for the tournament.
Yeah, most of them been in the corners, occasionally on the side. He definitely added more speed and got a big reward at even a bigger moment. And, you know, if you look at the 9 going in, of course, that's what we all pay attention to, but just the spread of the balls was so much better as well. Even though the 9 was the only one that dropped, I don't think you're going to see him back off.
I've had so many of them here over the last few days. You're just waiting for it to come along at some point in the match. And what a time for it to arrive. And it just feels, once again, like a totally different match to what it did a few minutes ago.
Copigny to break. 9 racks each.
Yeah. Breaking with a chance to get to the hill.
This is where James has been very good in his first 2 matches at the very end.
Absolutely.
Of course, he hasn't been too shabby himself.
You were talking about the mad eyes of SVB last night. We saw them there from KPY.
Yeah, that's the ticket right there. And win or lose, if he does go on to win this, I think that's going to bode well in the finals, getting to experience a little firmer break. He does have a shot at the blue too. Very awkward cueing, I think a little bit awkward cueing with the pink 4 there. He's going to size it up before he shoots. That's normally what he does. Has plenty of time. Get a full minute after the break, and it goes to 30 seconds. Now it looks like it's somewhat natural as far as the path of the cue ball. Just a little awkward cueing is all. And that's a sign of a champion right there. You know, you gotta just go with what you see, even though you've missed some balls. Doing that through the contest, you just got to keep at it.
Yeah.
I think he wants the cue ball clean. Don't say a word, Michael.
Yeah, you just beat me to it. Reference to the Mosconi Cup and JJ's misfortune about 18 months ago. But let's not go there again.
Yeah. One of these days, you and I will get past it. Okay, set up perfectly after a really nice 2-ball. Now the purple 5, you can see the green 6 on the side, the 7 near, and the 8-9 to finish. Just a little stop shot. Light of his mark. He's, you know, in a great situation, but normal times he'd be a little upset about that, but feeling good.
He had the early combo in rack 2, obviously the golden break in the rack before this one, and this is only the second time he's done it like this from the break and run through them all. And by doing that, somehow, he's first to the hill at 10-9. Just two completely different semi-finals today. We had the enormous swings, 6 in a row, then 9 in a row, and then obviously the late drama in the first one. But in this, neither player has ever really taken a firm grip on it for a sustained period. We're seeing two different sides of the game this afternoon, but two equally enthralling semi-finals.
Yeah, well put. And I think it's just the break shot mainly that kind of slowed this one down a little bit for the players, but still very entertaining. A lot of great shots, and the suspense is not finished.
Well, Aranas had really got the break under control. He was potting so many balls from the break, and the 3 dry breaks in a row with which he'd started the match were becoming a distant memory. Think back now to that missed 2 when he had the chance to keep his foot down, press forward, go 9-6. Ended up.
Thank you, the 20th frac. Copenhagen's breaking on the hill, leading by 10 racks to 9.
I definitely think we're going to get some movement on the 9 of some sort. We're going to get some kind of sweater.
Yeah, ended up losing that one. And now.
És akkor az ázsiai elődöntő. Egy szabadkártyás James Aranas, egy Fülöp-szigeteki játékos, aki rögtön az első meccsen a világ első Francisco Sánchez Ruiz győzte le 9-7-re, majd döntőrekkes negyed döntőben megverte a lengyel Viktor Zielinski 11-10-re, és itt most egy rekkes hátrányban. De ő az, aki ül. És Kopinyinek esett golyó. Nem úgy, mint Nils Fejennek. Azért érdekes, hogy a nagy ágyuk kiestek. Csak így emlékezve, ugye Kacsi a 14. kiemelt, Nils Fejen a 12. volt, de ugye ő kiesett, és Kó a 10. Tehát gyakorlatilag egy szabadkártyás és 2 számjegyű kiemeléssel bíró játékos jutott be a legjobb 4-be, a Sztónyasi. És hol áll meg a fehér? Hát ilyet. Hát ilyet. Milyen jótékony volt az a kocca feketén. Egy rekkes hátrányban. Egy szerencsének köszönhetően egy ilyen nehéz snooker állást kapni. És nem talál. 9-es, Azt vissza kell rakni a tőpontra. Ilyet is ritkán látunk, hogy egy hibából pont a 9-est löki be a játékos. Persze ennek semmi köze nincs semmihez, hiszen a 2-es nem mozdult. Jön is Marcel Eckhart. Igaz, először a fehér indult meg, de közben megállt, mikor látta, hogy mozdul a 9-es is, illetve gurul a jobb alsó lyuk felé. Na akkor kézből jöhet Kopinyi. A 33 éves tájvani. A gond 3-asról a 4-es, mert ott egy kicsit a 9-es nincs jó helyen. Ugye lökhető mind a két alsó sarki lyukba. A 4-es. Nagy kérdés, melyik oldalára pozícionál. Le tud lenni a 4-es jobb oldalára is, le tud jönni a bal oldalára is. Ugye nagyjából oda a fekete környékére, a jobb oldalára jön. Csücsök. És érdekes, hogy egy kétszeres világbajnoknak meg kell nézni, hogy hol van a belökési pont. Azért van benne izgalom bőven. Alapesetben, ugye mérkőzés közepén, közepetáján egy ilyen szituációt nem is méricskél, hanem rutinból löki és esik a gól. Egyikőjük se játszott döntőt, se Eklent Kacsi, aki már ott van, és Kopinyi meg 5 lökésre a döntőtől. Az, hogy Aranas itt van szabad kártyával és megverte Francisco Sánchez Ruiz, az egy nagy skalp a számára, egy hihetetlen emlék, nem csak a verseny meghívás, az, hogy rögtön az első körben az aktuális világ elsőt megverte. De hát nem véletlen, mert ugye egy kicsit rosszul is játszott Sánchez Ruiz, és Aranas meg ki tudta ezt használni, és jól játszott. Na, még 2 lökés. Ez pedig egy zicser, totálcső. És itt a mérkőzés vége. Tehát az ázsiaiak döntőjét a tájváni Kopinyi nyerte 11-9-re. Hát nem lett döntő rekkes, de ez a mérkőzés is nagyon jó volt. Elődöntőhöz méltó. Úgyhogy nem maradt más hátra. Jön majd a döntő Eklent Kacsi és a tájváni Kopinyi között.